Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome to lecture 44. In this lecture we are going to discuss two more centrally sponsored schemes. One is Swachh Bharat mission and second is the Hriday scheme. In last few lectures we have started discussion on the centrally sponsored schemes. We have told you that centrally sponsored schemes are basically long duration programs which is aimed to create some particular infrastructure or some particular facilities in the urban local bodies, and these are the mainstream source of funding for creating new projects. In the last day we discussed various schemes like smart cities and Amrut. So, today we are going to discuss two schemes, Swachh Bharat mission and Hriday. So, under these two we will start with Swachh Bharat mission and then we will discuss few times with the Hriday. Now, I hope that you have heard this name about the Swachh Bharat mission, how it started and what was the background. In 2014 this particular scheme was launched by Government of India. I briefly tell you the background, why Swachh Bharat mission was given a complete separate mission altogether. You know that in urban India the first reaction or first impression what an external person gets from the urban India, that it is not so much clean, it is not so much green, and one of the reason of this that image or impression is that we have very poor system of solid waste management, we have very poor system of the cleaning, and most importantly in urban areas and also in rural areas there are instances of open defecation, which we cannot imagine in this today's time when we are using mobile phone and we are sending the rockets to the atmosphere. At the same time in our country there are a significant amount of people who are defecating openly in the streets or in the open space, and the implications of the open defecation is manifold. One is it directly hits the health by creating or by spreading the epidemics. Second is contaminates the soil and the other land related resources, soil, water, etc., and it ultimately comes to the mainstream, it affects the mainstream health by affecting the crops and other vegetable products. So, one objective was that how to stop the open defecation, because in last 10 years the open defecation, the problem of the open defecation is not new, and it has been tried to tackle this problem for last few decades through various programs. So, with this program government tried to give a new thrust by giving a target that yes, we have to finish this bad practice or odd practice. So, that was the main objective of this Swachh Bharat mission, to stop the open defecation and to make our city clean by making 100% solid waste management and sanitation. So, therefore, the Swachh Bharat mission has had the objective like health and hygiene was the first basic intent which was thought, then to enhance the image of the city from a dirty and unclean city to a clean and green city. When we discussed Amrut mission, you must have observed that we have told you that under the Amrut mission there is ample scope of creating green spaces and open spaces in our cities. At the same time, how to create a clean environment in our city, that is the second concern in the Swachh Bharat mission. Third is by improving the health and hygiene and by improving the image of the city, definitely if we can enhance the citizens satisfaction, so that was a major concern. Now, let us see just briefly that what is the Swachh Bharat mission's objectives. I am just giving the instances from the mission guidelines from the Government of India, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. So, I request you to just have a reading of these points. The first objective is, as I told you in the beginning, that is elimination of the open defecation. And see the word elimination, it is not the reduction or the decrease of the open defecation, it is the elimination of this practice. Second is the eradication of the manual scavenging. You know that in our cities there are cases of manual scavenging, and by the Supreme Court order the manual scavenging has been stopped by law, but in practice it has been continuing in cities. So, how to stop the manual scavenging in practice? Then take the modern and scientific municipal solid waste management in the cities. When we say cities, it is the small, medium and the large cities including metro and mega cities, to effect behavioral change regarding the healthy sanitation practices. Behavior of the common people was the major influencer in the unclean condition of our city, because common people they sometimes make the soil, they make the surface of the streets or the public areas dirty. So, behavioral change was another major objective. Then general awareness about the sanitation and its linkage with the public health, it is not a new objective, it has been there in earlier programs also. Capacity augmentation of the urban local bodies, it is very much important to augment the capacity, because if you see the objectives like 2.1.3, it is the scientific municipal solid waste management. So, if you want to create a scientific method, you need to upgrade your municipal staff about the process. And the last is to create an enabling environment for private sector participation, so that they can contribute in capital expenditure and operation and maintenance. In short, it is capex. So, government tried to invite the private sector also, so that they can contribute in addition to government's effort in this whole objective. Next, we can see the how what are the components by which the urban local bodies they can get the funding. One is for creation of the new household toilets, including conversion of the sanitary latrines into pore flush latrines, they will get the funding. Creation of the community toilets and creation of the public toilets. Now, there is a difference between the community toilets and the public toilets. I just explain the difference. In our cities there are floating population who comes from the surrounding villages or surrounding smaller cities or urban areas for day to day activities like say job or education or health purpose to the bigger cities. This floating population they stay in the city or spend the time like 10 hours or 10 hours 12 hours, and during that time they also use the city's public areas in the great extent. So, how we can create the public toilets? So, the toilets created for those kind of people who are using the city for temporarily during the daytime as a floating population, and the also resident population, those who are using the public place, those are the public toilets. Second is the community toilets in the slum areas and the squatters and the joggi jhopris where the toilets are not there. If it is not possible to provide toilets for each and every household, then it is a must and the responsibility of the government to provide at least a community toilet for at least some cluster like 4 to 5 households. One complete scientific community toilets can be given. So, this community toilets and public toilet will address the people the need of the sanitation of the people at large. Fourth is the solid waste management. As I told that this is the one very major objective of the Swachh Bharat mission. So, municipalities are subject to create a paradigm and formulate the project on the solid waste management, starting from the generation, collection, transportation, its management and disposal and treatment, everything. So, and if they can do it, they will get the fund out of this. Then IEC component and public awareness, how the municipalities they can create awareness by making online and offline campaign, I hope you have observed that in this campaign all the urban areas, ministries, even our honorable Prime Minister, they also took part to aware public about the Swachh Bharat mission and the cleanliness of our city. So, this IEC and public awareness program is very important component. And the last is the capacity building and the administrative and office expenses, that is also admissible under this scheme. So, the creation of the toilets, creation of the public and community toilets, solid waste management, public awareness and the capacity building is the major components of the solid waste of this Swachhata mission. There are few mission strategies which will help government to bring the desired changes through the objectives or the fulfillment of the objectives, like they told that comprehensive sanitation planning is required. Now, I told earlier that in any development planning, the planning is very important and they make very thematic or sectoral plans. Basically, any cities, they will make a city development plan, I told earlier also, and along with that, based on the funding agency or the sector, they can make any sectoral plan. For example, they can do the plan for the smart city, they can make the plan for the Amrut mission, they can plan for this Swachh Bharat mission, they can plan for the Hriday as applicable. So, these thematic and sectoral plans are very essential part of the municipalities, therefore, a comprehensive sanitation planning which is required. Then city level, and this under this comprehensive plan, the first component is the city level sanitation plan, in short it is called CLSP. Now, by this time, since it is 2014 to now it is 2018, most of the cities they have either completed or they have in the process of making city level sanitation plan. This plan gives a comprehensive demand of the components of the Swachh Bharat mission and some strategies and roadmap how the city is going to achieve those kind of demand. So, that plan has been made by most of the cities. Then state sanitation concept and state sanitation strategy. Combining the city level sanitation plan and the strategies, every state government can make a sanitation strategy and concept, and the basically it is a broad guidelines at the state level. Now, this is something new which we are seeing, that earlier it was scheme based in earlier programs and every city was required to send plans, but here not only the municipalities and the cities, also the state government who are required to make the plans and the strategies under this. Then behavioral change strategy and IEC, many kinds of behavioral change strategy could be there. There could be training, there could be a system of incentives and the penalty. We have seen that in incentives and penalty has been successful in municipalities. You can use the municipal staffs, many municipalities they have used the school childrens or the childrens of the community group. So, many strategies can be taken for behavioral change of the common people for the Swachhata mission. Then enabling environment for the private sector participation. Now, the private sector will participate if there is some amount of opportunity and scope for making the project viable. Therefore, if the land is required, if some amount of incentives are required in terms of rules, regulation and development potential or the permissions, government has to ensure those kind of incentives and the facilitation, so that the private sector can take care, especially the solid waste collection, distribution and the treatment. Definitely private sector can take a lot of part, and some of the cities they have really done very well, and with the collaboration with the private sector they are doing very well. Capacity building is important. We had a dedicated session on capacity building. So, therefore, I am not going into details. So, I told that time that capacity building for urban development is the apex activity by the government of India. So, this program is also involved in the CBUD project. Most of the major technical institutions including IIT Roorkee, they are involved in the CBUD program. So, many municipalities and the state government, they are tied with the this institutes and they are going through the capacity building program. But most importantly, every municipalities, every city has to develop their own capacity building cell, own training cell within the municipality. It is no longer sustainable to take the capacity building service from the renowned institution, because the need is very high, the requirement of the training, the awareness campaign and other programs is very high. It is not possible to get it done by any outside agency 100%. So, maybe some major pilot program training of trainers can be done by the major institutes or the training providers, remaining the municipalities and the cities, they have to take care. The next is the allocations. Allocation, I hope that you have gone through this allocation through the mission guidelines, but I would like to mention few points here, like out of the 100% they have divided the allocation by 60, 20, 15, 3 and 2%, where major part is given to the project fund. The project formulation for every component will get 60% of your total fund, and another very important thing is performance fund. The municipalities or the cities which will perform better, they will get another, I mean based on their performance, a variable amount out of this 20%. So, this is something new and very much interesting as a strategy in the urban sector. Now, let us see quickly how the performance fund is created and what are the elements of the performance grant. The first criteria for the performance grant is the elimination of the open defecation. The earlier the cities or the municipalities achieve this the objective, they get the most preference to get the performance grant. So, this is the most important criteria in determining the performance grant or the amount of grant for the particular municipality. Second is the conversion of the insanitary latrines into pore flush latrine. Now, in the mission guidelines, I request all of you that you go through, there are detailed description drawings of the insanitary latrine types and how it can be converted to a pore flush and the scientific latrines. Third is the eradication of manual scavenging. I told earlier that this is also a very important part to be stopped in the municipality. Second is the prevention of the pollution of the water sources. Apart from the solid waste management, there are liquid waste management including the water contamination. So, this is another very important task of the Swachhata mission. Ensuring cleanliness and hygiene in public places. You have either created or you have existing parks, playground, green spaces, river bank areas, canal front areas, how you can make clean and hygiene, and so that people can use it, it can create a fantastic image of the city. Those kind of points and those kind of priorities will be given for the cities. Next is the awareness creation, what kind of awareness you are creating, and awareness is reflected on the behavior of the people or the citizen. So, it will be directly measured or directly assessed from the overall cleanliness and the behavior of the people in terms of the Swachhata or the cleanliness. And capacity building, what kind of capacity building activities happening in your municipality and what is the impact and effect of that capacity building, that will be assessed to determine the performance grant. So, in short, this is the overview of the Swachhata mission. We have talked about the main objective, background, significance, the major components, strategy and the amount of the allocation for the better performance which is given under the Swachhata mission. So, Swachhata mission is the very important contribution of this current ministry, because earlier the solid waste management, liquid waste management was part of any other program, and this has been given a new thrust by creating a final target that we have to eliminate and stop the open defecation, and we have to bring 100% sanitation in our city. So, this major objective we should not forget, even if other elements are there, and we have to take action according to ministry guidelines, but these two objectives should be very much clear in your mind, so that you can take action time to time. Next, we spend some time on the another very important mission, that is Hriday. The full form of the Hriday is basically Heritage City Development and Augmentation Yojana. By name you can understand that the name is Heritage City. Now, when we say we hear this term heritage, sometimes we feel that it is a old term or it is kind of a very older element in our cities. If you see that in India there are more than 4,000 cities, more than 5,000 urban areas as per 2011 census, and every urban areas, the bigger city, metropolitan cities, smaller cities or the mega cities, every urban areas have certain amount of heritage component which is either architectural heritage or natural heritage. So, it can be a tangible form of heritage which you can see, touch or you can feel it, which can be intangible, for example, the music or the art or it can be performing arts. So, those kind of tangible and non-tangible representation of the heritage is there in our cities. There are instances in the history that people who do not have the long heritage or the older heritage like our country, they create activities, events and the document their limited cultural aspects, so that they can attract tourists and they can make the city more better image. But in our country we have the heritage component, but somehow it is neglected. That is why in this program the basic intention was to create an enabling environment, so that municipalities and the cities, they can identify the heritage not as a liabilities, but as a potential, so that they can plan for it, they can create a fantastic design of the basic infrastructure, so that the older heritage structures and older heritage areas are given due attention. People can visit that place, they can enjoy, and also so that it can become a component of the revenue earning the municipality, so that it does not need a additional grant for the operation and maintenance from the central government or state government. That was the basic intent of the Heritage City Development and Augmentation Yojana. In short, it is Hriday. So, let us see some of the stated objective and the components under the Hriday scheme. So, the basic background and the significance I have told, that basically the first one was the to identify the heritage element in cities. Second is to assess its potential. Third is to make plan and design to create essential services, to conserve, to attract tourists and visitors, and to bring revenue earning capacity as a part of sustainability. So, that was the basic background to formulate this whole program. So, let us see how they have written their objectives. You can see the first objective which we mentioned, it is the planning, development and implementation of heritage sensitive infrastructure, service delivery and infrastructure provisioning in the core areas of the historic city. Many of the Indian cities have their historic core areas. So, how you can provide the basic service in the core areas, that is another objective. In the first objective they have written that planning, development and implementation of the heritage sensitive infrastructure. There could be some infrastructure which is heritage sensitive, for example, in some heritage areas allowing extensive use of telecommunication, extensive use of other transportation mode including the vehicular transportation could be dangerous. So, those kind of allocation should be properly and crucially planned. Third is the preserve and revitalize heritage, wherein the tourist can connect directly with the city's unique character. Fourth is the develop and document a heritage asset inventory of the cities. So, it is not the planning of the infrastructure, you have to identify and make a inventory, that I told earlier also. Then implement the project and enhancement of the basic service delivery with focus on the sanitation service with public convenience, toilets, water taps, street lights. We told earlier just some few minutes back that in Swachhata mission you have to create public toilets. So, public toilets and the public convenience is part of this Hriday mission also. So, therefore, it can be created in the heritage areas to create to facilitate the tourists and the visitors. Then local capacity enhancement for inclusive heritage based industry. The objective of this local capacity enhancement is that there are many heritage components in our countries or in our cities, where heritage is not only a structure, heritage can be a particular style of manufacturing some household products, or some, for example, manual labor based small household products or artifacts or crafts, which is very much common in a rural India or semi rural or urban area, urban villages. Now, how you can create a kind of a paradigm or ambience of the heritage of those areas, and try to give some training and capacity building of those people who are trying their level best to continue that practice, which is age old and also very unique in their own art and the style, so that practice can be further progressed and that style or work can be sustainable. So, those kind of capacity you need to focus in this capacity building. Then there are few mission objectives like create effective linkage between tourism and the cultural facilities, urban heritage adaptive rehabilitation and maintenance, wherever there are heritage component, but occupied by the people or occupied by some other activities like official activities, it can be rehabilitated. Establish and manage effective public private partnership. The private investment in heritage buildings and heritage is highly possible, and it has been seen that if an enabling environment is there, where the private party and public party, they can come to a consensus with a win-win situation, where private party maintains the property and can take a token entry fee or token user charge from the visitors or the tourists, so that the property or the heritage component is maintained, and the private and public party they also get some amount of money for upkeeping of the infrastructure and for allowing or the administrative cost of the overall infrastructure. The second is the development and promotion of the core tangible economic activities, as I told that which can be livelihood related activities. This can be skill development, it could be making public space accessible to the developing cultural spaces, all those kind of activities could be integrated. Then making ICTs, information communication and technology, as a awareness and the surveillance. So, this kind of programs also could be done, because done or integrated with your projects, so that the whole activities are under the vigilance. Then the intellectual access of the digital heritage and geographic information system. Now, Government of India has also started initiated the activities to create digital form of the Indian heritage, urban heritage, to keep documented all the essential pictures, drawings, three-dimensional manifestation of the architectural features or the other tangible, non-tangible features, so that it can also be felt through the digital mode before the tourist or visitors come and visit that particular place. So, these are the major objectives of the Hriday mission. It has taken few strategies, I just mentioned quickly. You know that it is a centrally sponsored scheme. It is giving 100% funding, unlike the other funding like Amrut and Smart City, where there will be a contribution by the state and the local government. Here central government is giving 100% funding. The cities and towns will be required to prepare heritage management plan. Again, this is another thematic plan. you have to prepare. Now, you can understand then that in a urban local bodies, apart from the basic planning document, that is city development plan, there are many planning document like heritage management plan, city sanitation plan, the slum free city plan, or various kinds of thematic plan. They have to make mobility plan. So, therefore, planning task of the municipality has become manifold, and that has to be taken care of. And creating the DPR out of this planning document, then this HMP or the heritage city management plan and DPRs may be developed by the. Now, there is a option that National Mission Directorate or this City Mission Directorate, in terms of the directorate, they are giving some technical expertise, so that the municipality can take the help of those mission. Then projects will be executed by the parastatal or this special purpose vehicle or the public works organization, which is identified by the state government time to time. Those kind of organization, in consultation with the urban local bodies, they can execute the project. Then NIUA is designated as the National Project Management Unit. So, they will time to time, you know that it is a common practice by the government of India to identify some organization as a apex organization for the project management. For Hriday, NIU is the apex management unit. Then city project management unit also will be procured by the National Mission Directorate. That is another important part as a strategy. So, therefore, at the apex level it is NIUA, at the city level city project management unit, which is a small unit which will work in consultation with the urban local bodies and the apex institute. The project will be will work through a partnership of the government, academic institutions and local community. Now, this is very important, that bringing academic institution in making plan preparation is very much important. So, therefore, it is important that in your city you make your plan in consultation with the NIUA as the apex institution, the city level project management unit and the academic institution as identified by the state government or the cities. So, this could be the strategy to make a comprehensive long term plan which is sustainable, which is green, which is giving basic services, which is giving a thrust for the heritage, and which will bring tourists and the visitors to the city and make the city vibrant and make the city more better image. So, these are few of the heritage cities identified by the government of India like Varanasi, Gaya, Puri, Amravati. These are indicative. There could be many cities which will be in course of time will be identified and will be brought inside this program. Then a short way forward, today we discussed basically two missions. One is Swachh Bharat mission and the Hriday. The Swachh Bharat mission, the objective of the Swachh Bharat mission is to make our city clean and better in terms of the cleanliness, and the, when we say cleanliness, it is not the soil or the surface, it is also the air. So, therefore, there are several objectives. Out of that, two objectives are very much important. One is to stop and eliminate the open defecation practice in our urban areas and rural areas. The Swachh Bharat mission has two components, one is urban and the rural. We are today we have discussed basically the urban component, and second is that to make 100% solid waste management and sanitation arrangement for the whole city population. That is the basic thrust area of this Swachh Bharat mission, and it has a target for the 2022 to bring all these changes in Indian cities. Second, we have discussed the Hriday mission. The objective of the Hriday was to identify the heritage component, tangible, non-tangible in our cities, make an inventory, make a comprehensive plan in consultation with the institutes at the apex level and at the local level with the project management unit, and then make a plan of city management plan, city heritage development, heritage management plan, and make projects under that and execute the project with the funding from the central government and involve private sector, so that the project and the overall upkeeping maintenance of these heritage areas become sustainable for the city. So, with this I request all of you that go through the mission documents and the reference materials which is provided by me, so that you understand what is the current status, what is the critical factors, and what is your role in implementing this kind of programs. So, with this I conclude this lecture. next lecture we will discuss two important another mission, that is Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana and National Urban Livelihood Mission. These two mission is aimed for creating a huge amount of house to create a paradigm of housing for all. National Urban Livelihood Mission is aimed to create a job for local and the rural people, local and the poor people, for everybody. So, with this I conclude this lecture, and I thank you very much for attending this lecture.